Anyone who's a fan of horror films or stories of paranormal activity will most definitely already know about the story of Ed and Lorraine Warren. These two ghost hunters are some of the most well-known in the business and have dealt with a variety of cases involving everything from ghosts to demons and all sorts of other extraordinary events. In addition to their huge archive of paranormal evidence, their story has inspired many film productions over the years, and there's even a small museum set up in their honor that houses many strange and occult items that pertain to their research and discoveries. Artifacts from many of their cases can be found at this museum, and many people believe that this is one of the most important places for paranormal enthusiasts to visit. Some even say that this building is one of the most haunted places in the world. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some of the most important pieces of Ed and Lorraine Warren's collection of occult memorabilia. Have you ever had a paranormal experience or any sort of encounter with a ghost? Let us know in the comments. Pearls of Death. One of the lesser-known artifacts in the Warrens' museum, which has not yet appeared in any of the well-known films, are the Pearls of Death. With a name like this, it's pretty obvious that these pearls are not to be messed with and should not be taken lightly. In the course of its owner's history, there are said to have been several cases in which the pearl necklace suddenly decided to remove itself from the grasp of its owner, often by becoming so tight that the victims were left breathless and nearly suffocated. The last owner also told the Warrens that in various situations, she had the feeling that the pearls were trying to strangle her. Apparently, she recognized the danger quickly and handed them over to the Warrens for safekeeping. Since then, the pearls have been safely stored in the Museum of the Occult and will hopefully no longer have the opportunity to inflict a painful and brutal death on an owner if the stories about the necklace are true. A satanic cult figure. The worship of Satan is something that you mostly see only in movies, but it does happen in the real world. Creepy and downright terrifying situations don't need to take place in a church building. They're happening all around us, whether we know it or not. The rituals and traditions of devil worship are as old as Christianity itself and have subsequently led to various historical periods, such as the infamous witch hunts that have played out around the world. When a hunter came across a strange figure in a Connecticut forest, he was sure that he had found a piece of memorabilia that had been left behind by a group of Satanists. It was also fitting that shortly afterward, he met a man in a dark robe who wanted the figure to be returned to him. With the figure's oddly misshapen face and blue eyes that stare at you no matter where you move, the figure is probably quite important for certain satanic rituals. The devilish horns on its head further prove this point. The hunter finally informed the Warrens about his discovery, and they took the figure in and placed it in their museum. As creepy as it may be, the figure fits in quite well with the other strange artifacts the Warrens have picked up over the years. The Shadow Doll. Anyone who's seen the Conjuring and Annabelle films will probably also know the famous Shadow Doll. Although she only plays a minor role in the stories, she also played an important role in real-life history. While Annabelle's doll doesn't look like it's capable of causing too much damage at first glance, the Shadow Doll has an eerie aura that permeates throughout the entire room. Its dark presence can be felt by all those who come near it. Perhaps that is also due to the dark abilities that some people believe the doll possesses. Above all, it's said to have the opportunity to interfere with people's subconscious and dreams. Here, the doll pursues its victims. It supposedly paralyzes them in fear within their own minds, taking away the only place that some people are able to retreat from the darkness of the real world. There's no question that this doll is incredibly dangerous, and one can be glad that she has no chance to prove her skills while locked away in the Warrens' horror cabinet. Real human skull. The use of real human body parts is particularly important in rituals related to witchcraft, demons, and Satanism. Many rituals call for blood, often that of a virgin. While this may seem like something that's only ever dreamt up in fairy tales, there are real-world occasions in which organs, blood, or human body parts have been offered as a sacrifice to the Dark Lord. Often, these rituals call for the skull of a person to be sacrificed for the ritual to be complete. It's therefore no wonder that in their research and many cases over the years, the Warrens have come across real human remains in such rituals many different times. The Museum of the Warrens also includes various skulls and other human remains that they collected during their explorations around dark ritual sites. If a story can be proven, it's told, and the objects are put on display. But in many cases, it's not certain how the people behind these occult objects got hold of them or what dark purposes they served in the rituals. A stone from the Borley Rectory. What at first glance appears to be a simple brick from an old house is, in fact, further evidence of just how deeply the Warrens have dived into the realm of hauntings and rituals that have been carried out all around the world. The brick, which is said to have once belonged to Borley Rectory, fits this bill nicely. The rectory in England was around for many years until it was eventually demolished after becoming known as the most haunted place in the world. It's said to have been home to many poltergeists and demons who set up a home within the building's walls. Today, the Borley Rectory no longer exists, and many of the stories about it have been challenged by further research. Still, the location serves as a haunting reminder of a house that was, perhaps, a truly important part of paranormal history. It's fitting that just a single stone serves to tell the story of this building in the Museum of the Warrens. The Perons family's music box. While this doll plays a role in The Conjuring, fans in particular should remember one of the starting points for this story. A small music box was discovered by the child of the Perons family that looked as though it were an antique. While the box played a major role at the beginning of the film, it became clear very soon that the box was home to a demon. The strange music that played from the box set the tone for the rest of the film, with the ghost inside of this box supposedly belonging to a child who murdered his own mother. While the box plays a lesser role as the story progresses, the Warrens were certain that this box was truly haunted. It's become one of the most popular pieces in the museum and sends a chill down the spines of anyone who walks by. The authenticity of this box has been questioned many times over the years, but the Warrens stand by their analysis that the box is truly haunted. Thankfully, it can do no more harm so long as it remains in its glass cage at the museum. The Toy Monkey. Toy monkeys may have been invented as harmless children's toys, but you have to admit, they can be quite creepy. Another piece that has taken a prominent role in the films was the toy monkey. The toy, which hits two cymbals against each other and can be wound up to make noise, was a clear sign in the films that something bad was about to happen. The real-life counterpart of this toy is said to be one of the many cursed items that can be found at the Warrens Museum. Of all the items in the museum, this monkey is said to be one of the most haunted and most dangerous items, and this claim certainly speaks volumes when you realize all the other items that are available in Warren's collection. According to both of the films and the Warrens' personal testimonies, the monkey is not simply possessed by a dark demon. He announces his presence with his drums and sometimes follows his victims through their home. The story claims that the monkey will follow its victims and stalk them around their homes until they're eventually brutally murdered in a variety of ways. It's no wonder that the Warrens locked this toy away in their museum and ensured it had no possible way of ever escaping again. Children's tombstones. In addition to the aforementioned human skulls, other artifacts have also made it into the possession of the Warrens. These too usually played an important role in rituals or dark magic. In addition to the various masks and other historical artifacts, some of which are considered to be haunted, some objects stand out in particular. These include, for example, the tombstones of children that were stolen from cemeteries and were now part of rituals. For some of these tombstones, we don't know which graves they originally belonged to, and thus they've become a permanent part of the museum's exhibition. For others, the story of how they were found is very well known, and once again makes it clear how terrifying the rituals must have been if one needed such an artifact for summoning dark spirits from the underworld. The Conjuring Mirror. Due to its English name, the large mirror in the Warrens Museum is also often mistaken for an artifact from the history of Conjuring. In this case, however, it has nothing to do with the events of the movie series. Instead, the mirror is an object that was used in a ritual to conjure up evil spirits or to make contact with another world. This is hardly surprising because in many stories and even throughout history, mirrors were very important objects when it comes to dark rituals and ceremonies. This artifact is said to have been used to summon a demon, but we don't know for sure how true this really is. Some visitors of the museum feel as though they were able to witness the presence of a demon inside of the mirror when looking deeply into its glass, but maybe they were just realizing the darkness within themselves. The real Annabelle. We've all likely heard the story of the infamous Annabelle doll. Regardless of whether or not you believe the story of Annabelle is true, you have to admit that the story is incredibly terrifying and shows you how far some demons are willing to go to torment their victims. However, if you know the story of the films, you may be surprised to know just how different the story played out in real life. The films definitely embellished the story of Annabelle quite a bit, but her real-world story is just as creepy, though maybe not quite as violent as the films made it out to be. Still, the Warrens felt as though the spirit that was trapped inside this doll held very dark energy, and that she needed to be kept in a cage to ensure it never saw the light of day again. Annabelle has been locked away in the Warrens Museum for many years, and many visitors claim that they can feel the evil presence of this doll as they enter the room. This doll doesn't mess around and causes a lot of chaos in the lives of many people. Much like the infamous Robert the Doll, Annabelle's spirit is restless and feeds on harming other innocent victims. If you ever visit the museum on your own, it's best that you stay far away from this doll to avoid succumbing to its evil ways. These are just a few of the remarkably interesting objects that can be found in the Warrens Museum of Paranormal Horror. Let us know if there are any other haunted objects you know of which we may have missed. Your suggestions may find their way into a future video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. If you've got a suggestion for a future video, be sure to leave it in the comments below. We're always looking for more great content, so let your voice be heard.